Dad in the Rock reacts to The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 2. This is Sean.
It's Chris. That was a mouthful.
It sure is. The fact that you have to say both things each and every time. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of the Lord. Anyway, what are we doing?
What a way to get started.
We're trailer reacting. It's a good old Dad in the Rock reacts. We haven't done this since what was the last one we did?
Mufasa, a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Mufasa. Mufasa.
Ooh, Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Long live the king.
Did you say who you were?
Well, I think I'm Chris. Did you say who you were?
This is Sean.
Oh, there we go. We think we're
Chris.
Dad in a Rocky. If you guys haven't figured it out yet.
We have a great channel. If you haven't noticed, maybe you're not subscribed, maybe you should be, because we're at what, 498?
498. We are 2 away from our big 500, which we've been kind of, striving for a while. So if you're new to us, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Check out the rest of the channel. We do a bunch of these. June is coming. June's going to be packed for us. We have so many shows. We're going to need some input on which ones you want us to cover. We know we're going to cover the Acolyte because we're Star Wars heads, but there's House of the Dragon, there's The Boys. Then it's to name 3 of them that are coming out, and we can't get them all, but we'll get what we can get.
Could you be our 500?
Our 500. That's some great English. 500.
500. Could you be our 500th subscriber?
Oh man, it's a.
Think you got the guts?
Well, I dare you have it.
Go ahead and subscribe. Let's just watch this trailer.
Let's go for it. I mean, I think we beat around the bush a little bit here.
An evil, ancient, and powerful has returned.
Prepare yourselves.
He worms his way inside your mind. The crest of him slithers in.
Oh boy.
I think he has been here. I think he's been here among us all along.
That's cool.
Every soul in Middle Earth is in peril.
He's so
We're getting him. Dark Tower. I've got questions.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Rings of Power, Season 2. What's your question, sir?
I know I may be hung up on lore.
Yeah.
But wasn't Sauron captured, or he was taken by the people of Numenor? He went to Numenor. So how has he been, like they were saying, he's been with us this whole time? That's my one question about that.
I have a few setbacks here. So when the Rings of Power premiered, I don't know, like it's gonna be when this premieres, it'll be 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was September 2022. So it's been a bit. I, leapt into Lord of the Rings lore. Like there's a whole Lord of the Rings lore channel that I was watching videos nonstop. Just to really kind of get into the lore. And it's been a while since I've watched any of that. I recognize Galadriel and some of the main characters from the last season. But as far as some of the ins and outs of what kind of storylines we're gonna get into this season, I'm a little unclear myself.
It seems like we're going to get some dark elves, which I know that it kind of falls in line with the rise of Sauron. So I some of that. I don't personally like. I love the same. Like you got me into that channel as well. So I know.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I haven't watched a ton in a little while, but yeah, there's a lot of like lore back. The fall of Numenor, the rise. What goes beyond the west
Right.
coast of Numenor, the trees, all those symbols. And what I'm gonna try not to do is get tied up in that because I think a lot of people got too
Mhm.
tied up in that in the first season and decided they disliked the show, and they weren't allowing themselves to go ahead and enjoy the show for what the show is, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I got so it showed this one elf, this little one's like smirking elf a few times, and I couldn't tell if the trailer was trying to tell us that that was Sauron, or because I know Sauron was played by this guy that was like a man in the
Was that
first
finally
season, right?
revealed that that was actually him?
I'm pretty sure I remember because remember Galadriel and him were on that like raft, and then they were going back and forth, and Galadriel finally realized who he was, and, see, that's the thing, it's been a while since I've seen the first season.
I know
I'm also kind
exactly
of hazy and fuzzy on the lore itself, so I'm in a bad spot right now.
I know exactly of the scene you're talking about,
Yeah,
but that would also lead me to believe that he would have to go back voluntarily to Numenor and stay with the Numenorians, kind of because he actually didn't he help actually forge the rings? If I remember, he was a part of that.
I don't know if you guys are Lord of the Rings fans, please let us know in the comments how off we are because I know we are. Amber's joining us. Hey, guys, excited to see this. Amber, did you watch the first season of Rings of Power? I can't remember if you checked in with us because we did actually cover the first season of the Rings of Power here on Dad Rock.
And if I remember
And
right, we, for the most part, enjoyed it. Both of us did.
yeah, I mean, culturally, there were a lot of haters out there because, first of all, anytime that you make a somewhat semi continuation of anything that's beloved, like, the books themselves or Peter Jackson's version of the
Mhm.
films, then it's going to have a hard road to travel anyway.
Yeah.
But then, with all the, people get their underwear in a wad with all the political things like, "Oh my gosh, it's so woke and diverse,"
Yeah.
and, oh,
Well, I think nowadays
um
the negative crowd is much louder than the positive crowd.
yeah, yeah, I think maybe, well, I say that, but we know how expensive the show is to produce. I'm curious whether or not there were enough people that turned because, I mean, if you remember, this thing was plastered on the side of buses, there were
Yeah.
billboards,
Oh,
like
yeah, and seeing
Amazon.
that it's not in the theaters and they're really not there's no real I don't know how they're getting their money back from these shows, putting the amount of money they're
Right.
putting into them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they're like you said to your point, I don't think they would have signed off on a season 2 if there wasn't enough viewership on season 1.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if you if we enjoyed it for the most part, like I said, but I think there was people that may have been hate watching it or watching it, enjoying it, but turning around and saying something completely opposite online to go ahead
Yeah.
and get viewership.
Yeah, Amber said she did not watch the first season, but she's looking to, play catch up, which is I think you're in a good spot there. That's always fun when a first season, is about to premiere season 2 and you can check it out. It's not like it's so many seasons along where that would be really
Yeah.
daunting. You can kinda, like, rev into it and then catch up by the time season 2.
I may find myself going back and rewatching this and kind of checking out that channel a little bit more to go ahead and get
Yeah.
myself. But like I said before, I don't want to get tied up in the lore and in like the Cimmerillion and all that to the
Mhm.
point where I'm nitpicking and trying to find parts or not enjoying it because I know something that was in another part that said this contradicts that.
We also never figured out who that wizard was, right? I mean, people were thinking, is it Gandalf? Is it one of the blue
Yeah, no
wizards?
idea.
Is it,
Or what
Radioactive
actual
Brown?
what like timing? What's the time? What's the true time frame of this show? Because we haven't
Right,
really
yeah,
gotten that yet either.
yeah. So that'll be interesting to see if we get any clarification on that too. Bezos is a billionaire. If he's a fan of Lord of the Rings, he'll find enough money for the budget.
Well, they bought out the rights. That was a
Yeah,
big purchase. It was kind of like when Disney purchased Star Wars. It was that
yeah,
level of like purchase for them. So they're committed to it, but we got to
they
really
are
see where it goes.
committed, but I mean, he is a billionaire, but a lot of times billionaires will not if something is losing a bunch of money for them, they typically will not continue it. I mean, Disney and Netflix, it'll be nice to see, honestly, because back in the old days of television, networks would sometimes let a TV show that's always already up and running kinda find its footing, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe season 1 wasn't great, but then they really start catching fire in season 2 and 3, and by the time seasons 3 and 4 are around, it's like a huge hit, and it was just because they gave that show time to grow. When a lot of these days with streaming, that's not
There's no
a thing.
development allowed. It's either you're a
No.
hit right out the gate or we
Right.
skip you away for the next one to come in.
Exactly, yeah. So, hopefully, this may be, an example here where season 2 really kind of, sweeps us up our feet and takes us for a ride. I hope so.
Oh yeah, I'm always hoping for the best. I love. I'm little insight to me, guys. I'm walking the path to actually Mount Doom myself. I've got an
Oh,
app.
yeah.
I'm almost 145 miles in my first trip. I'm almost at Bury, so I'm about ready to get the ring and take it. Take it
Oh,
to
you
actually.
haven't gotten the ring yet?
I get the ring when I get to Bury when I complete my first
I
first portion of
see.
it. So then when I
That's
get that
cool.
ring, I get to go ahead and walk to meet up with the fellowship at blanking the name of the city.
Rivendell?
Rivendell, thank you.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, so I've got a long trek ahead of me, but that's kinda where I
Yeah.
am, and I'm
If
listening
you're
to the
walking all the way to
audiobook.
Mordor, yeah, you got a long trek ahead of you.
Yeah, Mordor is the longest part of
Um,
it.
side quest here. Did you see that they actually that same company, Challengers or whatever, introduced a Star Wars themed walking challenge?
Yes, yeah. I did see that.
A prequel set and an original trilogy set.
I'm too set in this one here. I wanna finish this one before I go ahead and do the next one, so,
You guys
but
don't even know what the heck we're talking
yeah.
about. That's okay. That's all right. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, season 2. Honestly, this trailer itself, it was a lot of stuff that I didn't know what the heck was going on. It was a lot
Yeah.
of characters, a lot of camera spins in the dark, and a lot of like, people holding torches and swords and that's what I expect to see, I guess. I couldn't tell you what the hell's going on, but I know I'll be tuning in, because I did like the first season and we'll see where we go from here.
So I think this one here we both give it a thumbs up for what we expect. It's that
Tentative thumbs up.
first teaser trailer. It's
Right.
given us visual effects that we remember from the first one, characters we
Yeah.
remember from the first. So it's giving us some familiar, vibes, and then it's going ahead and giving us more. Like what's that black blob coming out of down low? When
That was interesting, yeah, because I don't
is
remember
is it a
seeing anything that
Balrog? They woke up the
Right.
Balrogs in season one, so we've seen one. Is it covered in something while it's crawling up out of the depths?
I wanna know if Tom Bombadil is gonna be in this
I
show.
want to know more about Bombadil. After listening to the actual Lord of the Rings audiobook,
Yes.
how was he not involved in any of this? Like, how was
Right.
he like not involved in the movies or anything? He's got to be in
I
this
mean,
in
in the
some
books, he's, like,
manner.
older than the trees and, like, he's gotta be around. I don't know, we'll see. 'Cause, that was something that the movies didn't get into, and that
Yeah,
could be something that's really unique to this show, that you're finally giving Lord of the Rings fans a character that they've been wanting to see for a long time.
that could pull back a lot of those detractors in. If
I
they
think
bring
so,
him
yeah.
in and they do him right,
Right.
and they show him singing to the trees and everything,
Yeah.
and everyone all the actual creatures listening to him, that would be a cool little because even Gandalf's like he's not going to mess with us. He stays out of everyone's business.
Right,
So
yeah.
Gandalf knows he's not going to come help us take the ring to Mordor to Mount Doom because you know what? He's older than we are. How old is Tom himself?
Exactly. All those events that happen in the Lord of the Ring trilogy, it's just barely a blip on his radar. He's been alive so long. He's like, they'll take care of it. They're
Well, see
fine.
now we're diving deep, guys. Is this going to
I know.
happen?
But yeah, check it out. It premieres on Amazon Prime this upcoming August. I think August might be, I don't know. I know June's gonna be packed, but late summer may be we may have some extra time to actually cover this in full. So stay tuned for that. We should be able to cover season 2 here on the channel, episode by episode. Hopefully, and we haven't heard yet, and they haven't mentioned here. It's gonna the last time was a week to week release, right? Hopefully
I
they keep up
I
with that.
think it is going to be a week to week as well, but
Yeah.
I
All
mean,
right, stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please. We've been asking for months now. We're clawing our way to 500, and we're at 498 people. I mean, just subscribe, hit the button. I'm begging you.
Okay, guys. Well, I guess until the next trailer drops or something we're going to do, or June rolls around and we dive headfirst into the Acolyte and whatever other show that's going to be, you know, we
Dive
decide.
headfirst into a cement wall.
Yeah. I guess we'll see you next time.
See ya.